Hey, Mike, what do Kelly Slater and PT have in common?
I don't know. They're both world champs?
Nope, they both own Endless Summer box set.
Oh my God, rad. You guys, you can get it too. The link's in the show notes. Hey, this is Mike with the Quivercast, brought to you by quiverbuilder.com, an online community where you buy, sell, and surf for your next magic board. Hello, everybody. This is Mike here with Quivercast, and we got our new interviewee. And if you're from Oceanside, you probably know who he is. We got Barry Snyder, and probably internationally known, actually. Barry Snyder here. He's a shaper, artist, surfer. Anything else, Barry? You want to say hi?
Musician,
Father,
husband,
you know, and etc.
yeah.
All right. So, how's it going lately with you?
Extremely busy.
Are you busy?
Crazy good times for surfboard builders right now.
Okay.
Yep.
So, what kind of board building are you known for?
Primarily shortboards and alternative stuff. I also do longboards and prone paddle boards from time to time. I like to dabble in pretty much anything that's surfing related, ocean stuff.
So, if someone comes to you and you want a specialty board,
Yep.
you're the man.
Yeah. I try to be.
So on your shortboards, are you more going like everything's hand shaped by you?
Absolutely. 100%.
No machine?
No machine.
Ever.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna stay that way?
What? I kind of plan on doing it that way, but I have my opinion on machine shaped blanks and.
What's your opinion?
Well,
Let's hear your
to
opinion.
me, a board that's shaped off the machine is an awful lot like buying a coloring book
Okay.
and coloring it in and telling everybody that you drew it.
Okay.
That's my take. It's that easy, and it's scrubbing little grooves isn't really shaping to me. I mean, I learned to shape from some of the best in the business.
And who are those guys?
Dick Brewer, Gary Linden, the whole crew over there.
Okay.
That's
Like
that's
the
my
big
roots.
the names?
Yeah, oh yeah. And so, it's instilled in me that, you lay a template on the board, you trace it, you cut it out, you shape it down to a finished board. That's shaping. Anything else is just finishing.
Okay.
Finishing a board. And it's gotten so widespread that now even the Chinese are doing it.
Okay.
They can't shape surfboards either.
They don't
Man,
surf,
they can
probably.
They can sure scrub those grooves out. And that's kind of my take on the whole thing.
So you want to be known as the hand shaper.
Yep.
The finished guy. So
Yep.
if you want something special, you're the guy to go to. Let's go backwards a little bit. When did you start surfing? When did you get into the surf industry?
Well, I started surfing at about the age of 13.
Okay.
Me and my buddy bought 2 surfboards from a garage sale.
Okay.
He had more money than me. He got the cool board with the pot leaf glass underneath the glass. I got the one with the big ding in it. Okay. So I took it home and I fixed it with Bondo because I knew nothing about fiberglass and resin.
Yeah. That's trippy.
I'm an art guy. I was the guy that painted everybody's skateboards on the block at the time. Went to the hardware store, bought spray paint cans, and I spray painted to look like a lightning bolt board, which were huge at the time.
What year is this?
Late 70s.
Late 70s? Okay.
Shortboard revolution was just kicking in, kind of thing. And
So everyone wanted the Lopez board?
Oh yeah, I had a blue lightning bolt on there,
Okay.
and so my very first surfboard was the very first board I ever worked on, and I'm still doing it.
You have that board still?
No, I wish.
Who shaped that board? Do you remember?
It was a Russell single fin.
Oh, really? A Russell?
Yeah, it was like a
Newport or
7/4
something?
pintail. Yeah.
Really?
Learned
You
to
wish
get
you
to
still
my
had that
feet.
board?
Yeah. You know what? It wasn't pretty, and now that I look back, it'd probably be really gross. But
Yeah.
it'd
be cool to have.
But that was my starter board. Yeah.
And what'd your buddy get?
I don't remember what brand it was. It might have been like a country surfboard or something.
Okay.
Red tint, big pot leaf on it. His mom hated it. He had to cover it up with a sticker. So every time we went down to the beach, he peeled the sticker off to expose the pot leaf.
Because it'd be cool.
Oh yeah. It's something kids do. But that's where I got my start. I graduated high school. I was 17. I got a gig sweeping the floor at Dick Brewer's Surfboards here in town.
Okay.
1027 South Cleveland Street.
Okay.
Gary Linden hired me.
Wow.
I swept the floors, and before I knew it, I was packing boards, routing fin boxes, and they had an endless supply of guys that would come in there and they'd flake out and be gone. I never left. I worked out of that building for 16 plus years. I learned every job in that place. I did every job in that place for a living at some point because I wanted to master this craft. And to me, that's the only way to really know about these surfboards is to be able to get in there and hot coat boards, sand boards, polished boards, So like every board in this place right here, I did completely. Some of them, the blanks I glued up. I mean,
start to finish?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, and Gary Linden is the guy who instilled in me the importance that surfers build surfboards. And that's stuck in my head forever. And in my career, I've watched it start out that way. And before you know it, we've got factories worldwide full of people who don't surf, don't even see the ocean, and they're building surfboards and they're selling them. And to me, it's really important that we surf and we build these things. You know what I mean? So that's in a nutshell, that's kind of how I started, and I've never stopped.
So let's break some of that down.
Okay.
So nowadays you got the 30-year-old just learning how to surf.
Yep.
They weren't 13.
Yep.
Okay. So they have a whole different take on surfing than we do. They're thinking of it more like I'm asking you my take on it, they're thinking of it's like a sport. It's football or soccer. It's just something.
It's an activity.
It's an activity. There you go. So they don't have the same philosophy as a 13-year-old that's worked his way or her way up the ladder.
Yeah.
Through surfing through the lineup, you worked at the surf shop. You're stoked. So they're going to buy the Chinese board probably.
Yeah.
And they may not come to Barry Snyder. Maybe if they stick with it for a few years, then they realize they kind of get instilled that they need a hand-shaped board. So you're shaping for the real surfer, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's the market has changed a lot.
Okay.
I mean, I grew up reading Surfer magazine.
Yeah, me too.
Cover to cover and
Right.
backwards and then again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's all the information you had for 1 month.
Absorbing
until the next
every
month.
page and just what was there, and you know what I mean? And print magazines are gone. And
Bummer.
now it's Instagram, and anybody could look like a pro surfer for their selfie.
They
Standing
can?
in front of G-Land with it just pumping, and like they're holding their board, the big smile, and
Are they paddling out of G-Land though?
Yeah, no, probably not.
Probably.
But it looks cool on Instagram.
It sure
You know what I
does.
mean? So surfing has become, like I said, it's an activity. There's still a lot of hardcore surfers who have been doing it their whole life. They're gonna do
I would think most of us still
know.
are those people, but go ahead.
But yeah, you're right. The newbie people, and especially like in this last year, is
Okay.
a perfect example. Outdoor activities are huge right now. You want to get outside. Okay,
That's all you can do.
Surfing, bicycling, golfing, anything that's outdoors. So we've got a whole new crop of newbies in here, and yeah, they're buying Costco, boards, soft boards, and whatnot, and all of us are sitting back going, oh my gosh, look at all this money we're losing to all these people. But if we did our job right, we would train these people like, hey, you know what? It's cool that you got that board.
As a
Looks
starter.
just like the other kook down the beach walking out, and that guy too. And like, you know what I mean? If you want to do something unique, you got to come to us custom board builders.
Right.
And, it's kind of our job to educate the customers. And so I always try to tell people hey, this is a truly custom crafted board. It doesn't just have your name on it. You've got to have the input on the shape, the color design, the graphics, everything,
Pride. You get to have pride in your board.
Absolutely, So that's kind of that's my little niche in this market is I like to make a truly custom board. I want to make something that nobody else has. So when you walk down to the beach, everybody's in the parking lot going, "Whoa,
What's
where
that?
did you get that
Yeah,
thing from?"
awesome.
You know, and hopefully they pass along the good word that I built it for them. And you know, I've never had any big delusions of taking over the surf industry. I don't
Right.
want to be the next Al Merrick
Okay.
and sell a jillion surfboards. I'm not. Yeah, and probably to my downfall, I'm not really a board salesman. I'm an artisan. I like to build these things. It's my passion. So that's kind of
So, and that's because what was given to you young
yep.
is why the way you think the way you do, which is cool. I mean, I'm looking at your boards now, and wide variety of, awesome boards. And so, what inspires you besides that? Is it art? Like, is it art? Are you every piece of art piece?
Well, I try to. I rarely make a clear surfboard. I mean, I just built one last month, a clear surfboard. Well, it left here with some fancy pin lines on it because I couldn't leave it.
Just let it white.
Clear. It's just,
Okay.
you know what I mean? It's the white F-150 you see everybody driving around. You know.
So let me rephrase that question. The question is: so you do art on the board, on the foam, right? That you're known for that.
Yep.
People bring their boards after they shape them to you to get that done.
Yep.
Correct.
That's also part of my business. I do airbrush graphics for
okay.
for a select few people, and yeah, I it's a nice outlet of creativity for me. I need that. I can't just do anything. If I can't play my guitar, I need to, you know, a lot of these boards you see here all started in my sketchbook. I've got stacks of sketchbooks since high school
Really?
of surfboards.
That's awesome.
Every decade, you could tell what years they were by the art that's in them. And so that's kind of my thing. And sometimes it starts out as a thought, and I'm like, ooh, I know what I'm going to do. And then it becomes a drawing, and then I figure out a customer or some way to build that board. I can check that one off the list, you know?
Okay. So so you have one hand you're doing the spray art for boards for other shapers, but on the other hand, when you shape a board, do you consider that a piece of art, or is that more like craftsman?
Well, it verges on both of them. I don't do simple stuff. I mean, if you look around,
Right.
flex spoons, asymmetrical tails, weird channels, weird fins, weird, you know, it's
Weird
it is
fin
definitely an
setups?
art form
Okay.
for sure, because it's, you know, you've whittled this thing out of a chunk of foam, and it's, you know,
So you have pride in it, but you also, so I would consider you being an artist all around because you're starting from start to finish, and you're adding color to it. So that's just super interesting. And how many guys around here are still doing that? Do you know?
well, I happen to be, as an airbrush artist on surfboards, I'm in a really small club of people.
Okay.
Like, there's only a handful of us in this entire county.
Okay.
Like, that's
In
how,
Southern California, probably
you know,
not too many either.
And I think a lot of it is because it's a bit and piece of every part of board building wrapped up into one. You've got symmetry, you've got color, you've got chemicals, you've got all these things that all kind of come together. And, you know, as easy as it looks for me to walk around a board and tape off a pin line,
Yeah.
it's because I've walked around a board like that thousands of times.
Yeah.
It's that, you know what I mean? And a lot of people just can't do that. So they just bring them to me because they're like, you know what, I can't tape a straight line if I wanted to. And I can do it with my eyes closed because
Because you've done it
for me, you know?
millions of times, or not millions, but thousands or tens of thousands of times.
Yeah.
Do you know how many boards you have spray painted? Or I don't know. What's the right word?
Well,
Airbrushed.
oh my gosh.
Take a guess.
20,000.
Wow.
Probably.
That's incredible.
You know, I mean, it's a lot. I don't do as many as I used to.
Can you pick yours out in the lineup if someone has a board that's sat in the garage for 10 years?
I recognize my babies anywhere.
Okay.
You know? Oh yeah.
So you take pride in every single one of them.
Yeah, I try to do something that's different than what everybody else is doing. I'm definitely, personality wise, I'm against the grain. I'm a punk rock kid.
Okay.
You know, with 40 years experience. You know what I mean? So I if a trend goes this way, I tend to go that way.
Okay.
Oops. And so I try not to follow those trends and kind of have my own unique kind of thing going. As soon as someone else catches on, which it happens all the time,
that's a good
then I'm
question.
on to the next one because I'm already 3 steps ahead of them.
So they're copying your art.
Oh, it
basically.
happens. Oh, yeah.
But you can still tell the difference, and that's interesting. I never even thought about that.
It's just like any other art form.
So where did you get that niche at? Let's just talk about that for a minute.
Well, like I said.
What made you be like focused just because you're an artist in your head?
Like I said, as a pre-teen,
Okay.
I was a skateboard rat. I skated.
So you skated
pools.
before you surfed.
Oh yeah, skated pools, ramps, skate parks. I did all that stuff. And so my outlet for art at that time was, hey, let me have your skateboard. I'll paint it.
Okay.
And so I hand painted stuff on there. And a funny story, I was a bad kid in 9th grade.
Okay.
Got sent to a Christian school down in Solana Beach because I was a bad kid. For the first class of the day, which was like a Bible class, they wanted you to bring in something that you were passionate about. So I bring in the skateboard that I painted.
Okay.
Not really thinking is through all
Christian.
the way. Yeah, I bring in this skateboard with a skull and a snake crawling through its eyes and fire and all, and they were freaked out. They're like, "Oh my god!" I didn't really put 2 and 2 together until after it happened.
Yeah.
So that's my beginning. So I started out with spray paint cans because I knew nothing of spray guns.
Okay.
As a kid, I get a job at Brewer. One of the first guys that catches my eye is Dave Peterson. He's the airbrusher.
Yeah.
And he shows me an airbrush gun. And it was like, that,
Wow. Yeah.
oh my gosh. And so I've been spraying boards ever since. And I just learned and learned and learned and learned. And, it's a never-ending amount of just new ideas. It's just new, always something new. Someone
So
brings me
is
this.
it new ideas and you're experimenting and it works?
Yeah.
Do you have failures?
Oh yeah, but
Okay.
you know what? The beauty of my job is I can cover it up.
Yeah,
and make
that's
you
the
think
question.
like I did something extra special. You know what I mean?
So
They're
that's
like,
an artist right
wow,
there.
those pin lines you did just look so cool, and I'm like, yeah.
It didn't start
you
off
didn't
that
see
way?
where the paint bled under the tape, and you know what I mean? And
Oh, that's funny.
It's
That's super funny. Okay, so and you've grown up in this like North County
Yep,
your whole life.
My whole life. Yep.
This is your spot.
Yep.
So what about who were some of the friends and stuff you were surfing with at the time?
Just high school buddies until I
okay.
got my job at Brewer, and then it all changed, and I started.
Who are some of the names that went into Brewer? Like some big
Mike
names.
Lambrisi.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? He went to school with my wife.
Okay.
David Barr was like a
Yeah.
very upcoming pro ASP guy, you know what I mean? And that whole crew, all those guys. And it was cool as a kid because you're like, oh my gosh, I've seen these guys in the surf magazine.
Right,
They're
yeah,
coming
yeah,
in.
yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm putting fins on their board or, it's.
Now, did you get to do art for any of their boards?
Oh yeah, I sprayed all those Brad Gerlach stuff.
Oh,
and all,
really?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I've done
cool.
I've got to work with all those guys over the years.
When
you know?
Gerlach was all flashy?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Were you did you inspire him to go flashy, or was he coming?
He was already that way.
Yeah,
He had like
okay.
his own kind of vibe going, and so I, sprayed.
So you just worked with him.
Yeah, you know what I
that's
mean.
rad.
It's just kind of a cool environment because all of a sudden I'm thrown into like.
Were you guys
all
bouncing
these-
ideas off
all
each
these
other?
Yeah, and we'd
That's
go.
awesome.
The beauty of that was I get to go surf with these guys, and I go to
Right.
Hawaii and hang out and go to their house on the North Shore, and it was just such a cool.
That's fascinating. So, how was Dick Brewer as a boss?
You know what? I'll tell you, he's very mechanically engineered kind of mind, and I appreciate that because I have German genes in me, so I tend to mechanize and engineer things
Okay.
as well. So I always respected that. But he was the old school shaper, and you don't divulge information.
He wasn't sharing.
No, only one way you get him to share that stuff, and that was smoking weed.
Okay.
And like that's how you got it out of him. So
What's he, stoned?
needless to
He was
say,
telling
I inhaled. But you know what? He taught me some really, really insightful things that I use to this day that I've taught other people that like it makes a world of sense. And I mean, he's basically the father of the modern shortboard.
Yeah.
In my eyes,
Okay.
absolutely. You know what I mean? So,
Well, you worked with them, so
the Australians will claim something else, but this is the guy that I worked for and with, and I got to see what he was doing, and to this day we're still friends, and
where's he living?
he lives in Kauai.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still shaping. He's like 82 years old or something now, maybe 84.
And you still talk to him?
Yeah, from time to time.
That's
Yeah,
rad.
in that whole crew of all the big wave surfers that he was building boards for. I know a bunch of those.
Who are some of those guys? Do you remember?
Al Chapman.
I was just going to say Al Chapman.
You know what I mean?
And
Derek
isn't Al
Dorner
Chapman shape now too?
Yeah. Oh,
Do you think he learned from Brewer?
Oh, absolutely. He's a good shaper.
Yeah.
Really like underrated guy.
Is he like, especially at guns, or has he shaped everything?
Yeah, he shapes beautiful boards.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, Dick Brewer. I mean, really in surfing, he's one of the top guys for sure, if not the top guy.
Yeah, and somehow I managed to work through that factory and not walk away with a drug addiction or something. But some people know, like the Brewer crew, like the Brewer crew with the hand quotes. You
want to talk about that at all, or no?
No, I mean like it was a scene.
fascinating.
It was a scene.
It was a scene.
Like,
I don't know anything
I was
about.
the young Grom kid, kind of like starry-eyed and like
Yeah.
But
There was more than going on than
I
just
learned
surfing
a lot.
or surfboards.
I mean, it's invaluable things that I learned that are no longer being taught because there are not factories full of people that are building a product with the same name on it. And people, I was fortunate to work in the 4th shaping bay at Linden. I was a production shaper for a while.
Okay.
I hand shaped 4 or 5 boards a day.
Under Linden?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the beauty was we all did that. So we all shared techniques, information, and it's something that's not even out there anymore because most people are shaping off the machine. They just hire some kid to scrub the grooves down. Yeah. They walk in at the end of the day.
Who does the rails on those?
Well, whoever's finishing them.
Okay.
I mean, it's
all right.
They're 95% done off a machine. It's
okay.
I like to tease those guys and tell them that a lobotomized circus monkey could probably shape these boards. It's that easy. It's the last 5 to 10 minutes of shaping a board.
Okay.
That's so that information is no longer being passed around anymore. And now all the new school, everyone's in a big hurry to become a shaper. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So they don't want to sweep a floor. They don't want to pack a board. They're
going to quit if you give them the sweeping job.
They want to just jump right to shaper status because that apparently is that's the ultimate goal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So they go to surfboard schools, which I've been asked.
Is there such a thing?
There are a few.
Really?
They're kind of gone now, but like they tried and they're like, "Hey Barry, we'll pay you to come down and teach people." And I'm like, "No, I'm not a teacher." And like you know what I mean? And so then they learn off YouTube videos.
Okay.
I learned to shape off YouTube. I'm like, okay, cool.
Well, at least they're getting their hands.
They're trying.
Yeah.
Watch your fingers, kid.
That's probably how I would start if I shaped. I'll leave it up to you guys, actually.
But it's changed so much. And
so, is there any up and comers you know of?
Well, I mean, some people have a good eye for things, and a lot of shaping and surfboard building is seeing lines not only on the board that you're working on, but you need to see them in your head first so that it comes out your hands. If you can't see it in your head, you'll go nowhere. And I see a lot of shapers, they kind of learn the basics, but they never go beyond this point. They hit a wall, and it's just, a lot of those guys are the arrogant ones that, like, I already know all this. You can't teach me anymore, which is very closed-minded, and I'm still learning. I've been doing this for nearly 40 years.
It makes sense.
I'm still learning. Like I'm constantly learning new techniques and trying stuff. And if that doesn't work, okay, or whatever. And
learning in spraying the boards or shaping the boards or both or everything.
The whole process.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Even glassing.
Yep.
So how do you spray the boards differently, or do you spray the boards differently, epoxy versus like poly?
No, it's the same paint.
Okay.
It's just that foam that most people associate with epoxy boards, because epoxy is really the resin. It's not the blank. It's just a different type of blank.
Right.
It's EPS, which we used to call styrofoam as a kid.
Okay.
It is the same foam as a beer cooler is made out of. It's exactly the same. It's not that production friendly. It's not pretty. It's got pocks and little holes and all this kind of stuff. But it's more buoyant, which people like.
I like it.
And
yeah.
it's light.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I mean?
love it.
It's horrible foam. It's horrible for the environment. It doesn't ever break down in a landfill. It'll be here in 1,000 years from now, plus. You know, it just doesn't go away.
But I surf good on that.
You know, and this is the thing that all these epoxy EPS blank companies don't want to talk about. Is
Well, of course not.
EPS is expanded polystyrene. Styrene is a known carcinogen. Gives you cancer. It's already known.
Yeah.
So that's what the S in EPS is. So that's why coffee cups stopped getting poured into styrofoam
Right,
cups
they're going to
years
paper
ago.
now.
Now they're
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah.
That's why. So, you know, it's... I do them. If you want an epoxy board, I'll shape you one. It's not my personal preference. I still think that this polyurethane foam can't be touched.
Shaping wise, it's easy. It's going to come out better.
Yep.
You're saying
It's
Is
just
that
got a
what you're saying?
finer, prettier look to it. It's just uniform, you know?
Yeah. So I like not arguing the fact. I just like the epoxy because I'm not getting smaller, and it just keeps me up out of the water a little more.
Yep, yeah.
But I just ordered a poly board, so
Yeah.
we'll give it back.
It's a different kind of buoyancy.
They're
just-
completely different.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get used to it. I mean, but I didn't know if when you sprayed them, it was different because of the resin.
No, it's not as easy. I can do a better job on a poly blank than I can on an epoxy one, just because you can't tape over holes without paint leaking.
Okay. So when you started off shaping, you started off with a goal in mind of being a shaper one day when you started at the shop.
Well,
Or was it like just I'm 16, I'm getting a job?
I got my first real professionally made board when I worked at Brewer. Steve Morgan was the other shaper there. And I surfed that board until it just fell apart. I just destroyed it. And I got a few boards shaped by Gary Linden. And then at some point I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this myself. And my first board, I still remember it. It's a double wing squash tail quad which is pretty. If you look at that shape now, it's pretty much what's going on right now. Nice fuller nose. It wasn't a needle nose board, Kelly Slater thing.
What year is this? Do you remember?
84 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the typical board of that day. It wasn't.
Well, it might have been. I mean, quads were like huge at the time. So
they had and the Twinsers kind of came back at that point too.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Quads were big.
So, yeah, I made that switch from twins to tries to quads to tries.
And where are you at today? What do you?
I ride a Twinser.
Oh, do you?
I've got a 7-foot Twinser in my van that I just love right now. Asymmetrical tail, some slot channels coming off the tail, just unreal. Twinsers are the best.
So actually, let me ask you a question then, since you're a shaper. What do channels really do to a board as
channels do exactly as their namesake.
It just flows.
It channels water. And anything that channels water is like a fin. So like it makes that water flow. The channels on that board I was telling you about come right off the tail. So that water isn't squirting off the rails of the board. It's being channeled straight off the tail, less friction. And
faster?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, you know.
You're starting to see channels that coming back. They kind of went away for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was a production shaper at Linden's, we did a ton of channel bottoms.
Okay.
And none of the shapers wanted to do them. So Gary taught me his channel shaping process, and I did a bunch of them. Like, that was kind of my gig for a while, was just shaping channels.
You're an expert at channels.
Yeah, well, I can do them. I can do them pretty efficiency and like, you know, straight and deep and, you know.
Okay, so I'm going to have to come back and get a board from you because I want to try with the channels. I don't think I've ever ridden a channel board.
Oh, yeah. And there's lots of different configurations, so.
In your history of surfing, so you've won a few awards, right? Or
Yep.
have you won?
Yep. Best of show board.
At where?
At the Boardroom Show 2-3 years ago now.
Really?
Yeah, that's this board with the Jimi Hendrix mural on the bottom. It's kind of hard to see here, but I'll tell you a funny story about this board.
Okay.
I put this in, And I had been putting a board in Best of Show since the very beginning of the Boardroom Shows. It used
Which
to be
was
Sacred Craft, and then it switched over.
Okay.
That was one. That was that IPA
thing's
Stinger
sick.
was the closest I'd ever gotten, which was a runner-up for Best of Show.
Okay, rad.
You know,
Oh, yeah,
so
I see the ribbon.
so every year I put something in there unique, and I try to fit in the theme of whatever they've got going on. So I put this E-wing twin fin board, and it's funny because the deck is clear, which really throws people off because I'm an airbrush artist.
Right, yeah.
You flip this
So
thing
what's
around,
Barry doing with
it's
the clear board?
color explosion on the bottom.
Okay.
So I won for that board. The cool thing was Zio Baffa, which is a wine company from Italy, they were sponsoring the Best of Show thing. So I won the thing. I got this cool ribbon and all this stuff, and people were patting me on the back. I'm like, wow, I finally did it. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
So they hand me 2 cases of Italian red wine. Yummy. So I'm walking out of this place holding these 2 cases stacked in front of me.
That's funny.
And I find artistic ideas everywhere in life.
Okay.
But this time I'm walking out the door of that place, light bulb moment. Oh my gosh, I'm going to color a board with their wine.
Really?
And so I sought out to figure out how I can do it. It's a liquid. It'll go through my spray gun.
Yes.
But the problem is it's very transparent. It's very watery.
Mm-hmm.
So I reduced it on a stove, which means I simmered
Yep,
it.
yep, gotcha.
And I thickened it up. And that's the board right there. That board is
Wow.
entirely colored with wine.
Really?
Yep. And people so I brought that board the following year.
Oh, was that the board you showed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And explained?
Oh, yeah. And
that's
people were
awesome.
like, I can't believe that, you know. And of course, I can't do anything simple. I glued that agave stringer that grew on my property in there, and I made the fins for it. But so that was, you know,
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
where the Best of Show kind of led me. And, you know, it's.
Yeah, well, you're thinking outside the box for sure.
I love the Boardroom Show. Scott Bass does an unreal job, and to me it's a culmination of all my friends, because I know a ton of people in this industry. And
So
it's
you're
a
shaking
bit,
hands all day and saying
it's a
hello.
bit like a class reunion because I don't get
Yeah.
to see these people. So, you know, some years I have a booth, some years I don't, just so I can go and mingle and talk to all my friends for 2 days in a row.
That's awesome.
But
So I've never been on. I think when they open it up, I think it's in October. They might do it. again.
I got my fingers crossed. It goes down this year. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
So you were super excited.
Oh yeah,
So I haven't been. So it's hard to.
Yeah, it's cool because I get to show my stuff, and I tend to do a theme.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I had an idea for last year.
And you're with your peers, so you really.
Oh yeah,
You're showing
Everyone's
your
trying
A game for sure.
Everyone's trying to outdo each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's. I got my fingers crossed it goes down because I've got some ideas in my head.
Really?
Yeah.
And do they ever take the boards out and try them after, or
Well, they have
how does that work?
They have a deal before the show
Okay.
where you can go down to the beach and try some of
Oh,
those
okay.
people's boards.
Yeah.
Maybe not specifically the ones
one
that are
that
on
was-
display,
yeah, I gotcha.
but, you know,
Yeah, sample
Comparable.
the different shapers. And,
yep.
Okay. And so I mean, actually, that was one of my questions. Like, where do you get inspired for your art? But I mean, that's
It's
a perfect
everything.
example right there.
It's music. It could be the side of a bus going down the street. You know what I mean? I like to read art books and even like get ideas from the.
Have you taken any art classes, or is just all
took
learned?
a art class in high school.
Okay.
I
And what
took
did
art-
it help you with
Art,
this?
well, I'll tell you, I took Art 1A, Mrs. Hogan, sweet little lady. She loved me. I was a bit weird to her because I was a punk rock kid with colored hair and earrings and whatnot. But she let me in there. First day of the class, we had to I had to sketch a bowl of fruit. And I did it in like 10 minutes. And she's like, wow, this is really good. And so she immediately goes, you know what, Barry? You're in my class, but you can do whatever you want to do.
Really?
Whatever you want to do, you can do it, and the rest of these kids will do what they're
So
told.
she saw something special in you.
Yeah, you know, and so
That's
it
cool.
broke her heart when I didn't take the following class
Yeah.
because I was, like I said, I was a punk rock kid, and I had other interests, and oh no, you can't do this. So that was the only art class I've ever taken. I've been drawing my whole life.
Okay.
I still draw a lot and paint and
Self-taught mostly.
yeah, pretty much. It's
So let's talk about the punk rock thing. So you're you're a punker. Are you? Can I say that? Or you just like punk rock?
That's
No,
that's what my metal shop teacher called me, punker.
So how does a punker? I've never, for the most part, it's the guys that are in the surf industry, especially in the '80s stuff. They were wearing the Quicksilvers and the Gotchas or whatever.
Yeah.
Were you dressed like that, or were you dressed?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, for a while there, it was like
it didn't translate.
That's
really,
when new wave came along.
Okay, new wave,
brighter
yeah, right.
colors,
little Devo or whatever,
little poppier kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
The color, the bright colors.
You know, I had a mullet. You know?
Oh, you had a mullet. Okay.
You know what I mean? I did the whole 80s thing. You know what I mean? But I always come back to like my roots, which is,
Were you dressing differently when you weren't in the shop or on the beach?
No, I mean, they all kind of made fun of me at the shop because I dressed weird. And it's just,
okay.
I'm used to it.
I'm just thinking like the guys that I went to school with weren't caught at a surf shop.
Yeah. Well,
like
the thing is,
punkers.
The thing about punk rock, it's yes, it is a music genre.
It is.
But it's also a lifestyle.
It is.
And it's very, people want to be different and individuals. And there's a do-it-yourself ethos in punk rock that I've always appreciated. You just, you could make your own clothes. You could color your own
all
hair.
acceptable.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But you could do it yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's me in a nutshell. I do everything myself. I work on my cars myself. I fix the plumbing by myself. Whatever it may be, and I've always appreciated that. And it's always very open, and it's actually very friendly to like all people. It's it doesn't matter what your color your skin is. If you like the music and you're into the scene, you're welcome. And I've always appreciated that. And I get a lot of like, you come in here and there's probably punk rock coming out of my stereo speakers. It's not the only music I listen to.
Yeah.
I listen to blues and classic rock.
You mix it up a little.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's kind of a, it goes into all my boards. And
What was your first punk show? Do you remember? And how old were you?
It probably was like Black Flag.
Okay.
And this was like 80, 81.
And how old were you then?
Yeah, well, 81, I would have been about 15 or 16.
Okay.
So like, yeah. And I saw.
And would you just blown away?
Oh, yeah.
Were you totally into Black Flag at the time, or?
Not so much. But
once you saw them, you were kind of
I used to go out at the distillery in Escondido, and they had tons of punk bands. I went to all, that was my weekend thing.
Yeah.
We went to punk shows. Orange County, San Diego,
like the Cuckoo's Nest and stuff?
We try to hit at least one show every weekend kind of thing, and I miss those days. It was just so exciting and, new and different and kind of sketchy and, you know what I mean?
So what was the scene different? We're just going to talk about this for a second because this fascinates me. The scene like in San Diego or North County, San Diego, totally different than Orange County and LA?
Yeah. San Diego was a lot of like skinhead type of punk rock guys.
A little more aggro.
Yeah.
Violent.
Yeah, violent for Sure. You know what I mean? You go to LA and it was a little more artsy kind of, kind of thing. But, I saw, Social Distortion and the list just goes on and on and on. I saw Smelly play and No FX, probably 83 or 4, somewhere around that time period, And
do you think they were going to make it like they did?
Well, you know what? You never know.
Now they're one of the
Sometimes
biggest,
you saw
for sure.
them once and nope, they're gone. Like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, okay. And I mean, look at them now. They've still putting out new stuff. And, Fat Mike, the singer's got a record company, so he's in the groove of all the new bands and all the other bands that, I mean? It's kind of angry and rebellious. And
so like in the 80s, it was rebellious and angry. In the 90s, it was the lifestyle of surf movies. The Momentum's and all that kind of changed. Well, it was different bands, but I mean, with No Effects and Pennywise and all those guys come up.
Yep.
But they would pump us up to go surf.
Oh yeah,
If
I
you're
still
watching-
do it to this day.
Yeah, is that what you're blasting?
Yeah,
in the
it's
parking
something
lot?
fast, and it's that's just gets your heart going, and it just gets you pumped up, and it for anything, So
So with that being said, you're known, or you on your Instagram it says surf industry's punk rock outlaw.
Yeah, that's me. At least it's kind of a good.
I wrote that down because I was like, that's cool.
But
That's
if you
different.
really know me, it fits. You know what I mean? I'm a nonconformist.
You're doing what Barry wants to do.
Yeah, nonconformist by nature.
Okay.
I question everything,
All
and you know, I like to learn stuff, and you know, that's kind of just me in a nutshell.
And is there a favorite board you like to shape? A certain style? You said you're known for the surfboards and stuff.
You know,
But like some of these, like you said, you put the stringer in yourself. So I mean, that's a lot of work.
yeah. But I'll tell you, when I got into this business,
You're not just buying a blanket. I mean, you do buy a blanket, shape it.
Oh, yeah.
But you're also willing to throw some time in.
Well, when I got into this business, I realized that there were guys that only did this job. That's all they did.
Which was what?
Whatever
Glass?
that job might be a laminator. Okay.
All right.
So that's all they did. And then there was a sander and all this stuff. And Hank Bizak, which is an old shaping friend of mine, told me early on as a kid, learn every job in here. Don't be a one-trick pony. You'll never run out of work.
Right.
And so
Okay.
I set out to do exactly what he said. And then when I worked at that factory on Cleveland there, I did that. I did every one of those jobs. But as I progressed into my career, I started to realize that there's a very small group of guys who can not only do it all, but they do stuff that nobody else does. And they're gluing up blanks and they're doing stuff that's just...
Yeah,
you
no
know,
one's doing that, really.
Everybody else is going, how did you do that? I'm like, okay, cool. That's the club I want to be in.
Yeah.
And so I've done it. And so I've, like all these boards you see here, the black lines, these are glue lines, man. I glued up that blank. You know what I mean? That's colored foam on the rails. You know, all these ones, like, here's something
Yeah, that
blew
thing's
everybody
sick.
away. Those are curved glue lines. These are all individual pieces of foam glued together. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the kind of
Is
stuff.
that on your Instagram? Because I'm gonna take a picture.
Yeah, I'm sure
Oh,
it's there, probably somewhere on
Yeah.
there.
So people know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I'll show
but
some.
like, you know, from all those boards in the back with the agave stringers and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And, you know, I've been doing that
So why do that?
because I can.
Because you want to?
Yeah, you know what I mean? I love getting inspired by something and going, cool, how can I incorporate that into a surf?
So you're not just trying to buy 100 blanks and just shape 100 boards real quick.
No,
You're
like
making it a piece.
I like to do something original. You know what I
Okay.
mean? That's what I want to be known for when I leave this place. He did original stuff.
So that was one of my questions. What do you want to be known for when you're out of the industry? Are you ever going to be out of the industry?
Well, I don't know. I kind of plan on doing this until I drop.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I might move a little slower, but like, you know, I like doing this stuff, and I like the challenge of, you know, new composites, new resins, new foam, new styles of shapes, and all this kind of stuff, you know, and I love that some older stuff comes back and we kind of throw a newer spin on it. And, you know, I don't know. I'm a board builder.
Okay.
Plain and simple. That's, you know, it kind of encompasses all the parts of board building, you know? So.
Does anyone ever come in here and do you let anybody come in here and learn under you? Or do you ever give pointers or anything?
Some people I'll give pointers to if I think it's going to help them. And I feel like they're appreciative of it, because a lot of people come here with that just
Want to
trying
rip you
pick
off.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So like all these things, these blanks that you see, I used to glue all these up when I was several doors down here.
Okay.
The thing that I hated to hear the most, I'm in the middle of gluing up this blank or doing something
Okay.
that I've taught myself.
Right.
And they walk in and the first words out of their mouth was, "Oh, that's how you do that." You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy just saw it. You know what I mean? Maybe he'll go try it himself or he'll tell somebody, but someone just learned how I did that. And I like the secrecy part of that. So
you're keeping it to yourself.
Yeah, that's why at my house that I've owned for 25 years has a wood shop and a blank gluing area and all this stuff to it, because I can do it in private where I don't have to worry about, you know, that stuff. And it's not anything super technical. I'm not curing cancer here or something, you know what I mean? But like, it's stuff that, you know, I was a horrible student in high school. I did just enough to get by.
Right.
And it's not because I didn't have the IQ for it. I just didn't care. And you know,
Okay.
but I went to school, there were shop classes.
Right.
Metal shop, auto shop,
yeah.
wood shop. I aced all those classes because
Okay. That was your
something
thing.
that was interested in me. So
Yeah.
I like working
In
with
English
wood.
class, you were just
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of...
so your philosophy is if you want to try something. I'm talking to the outside world, not. But you're saying you need to learn it yourself, like you did.
Yeah, you know what?
Did you learn it yourself?
Yeah,
Most of it,
absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, I had
You
help.
worked up the ladder.
I
but-
had help. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I looked up to a lot of the board builders with much more years under their belts.
Okay.
And
With respect.
absolutely. And I think that they saw in me like, okay, this guy wants to learn this stuff. And so those
they're
are the
willing to
people
share.
that I'm willing to share with because
Yeah, I
I see
gotcha.
that they have the passion and they want to learn. It's not a,
Right.
a selfish need. You know what I mean? It's
Where they're going to try to
It's a
take
needed-
what you got and take your business or whatever away.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so you talked about your privacy and working on boards and at your house and here. Do you like the exposure you're getting, or are you an underground guy?
I'm not a...
You're not throwing big ads out.
No, I really don't try to attract attention. I try to let my board speak for me. You know what I mean? Like it's, my father or my grandfather just told me if you put out a good product, it's going to sell itself. Okay. You don't need to advertise and do all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of truth to that. You know what I mean? Because, you make one person happy and they come back here going, oh my gosh.
They told 10 guys.
I got the best wave of my life on that board you built me.
Right.
Yeah, that's advertising. Right
That
there.
is, yeah.
They're going to go out and tell people. And, those are the kind of people that I like. And, people come to me and they throw some ideas at me. And sometimes it's a bit of, a juggling act trying to incorporate all these things that they want into their board. But
Can you give me an example of that?
well, just, children's handprints or like, I did a longboard for a couple where we laid their longboard out on a blanket on the floor. They had like a maybe 1.5-year-old little girl, cute little blonde girl.
Okay.
And they wanted her feet print on the board. So they were thinking, okay, well, we'll just dip her feet in the paint and just plop her down on the board. But me being an artist, I'm like, oh, no. We're going to do something way cooler than this. We're going to dip her feet in it. You guys are each going to hold her hand, and we're going to walk down the length of this board.
Oh, cool.
And they're going to be footprints that get lighter and lighter and lighter as they go towards the nose.
That's a good
Came out
idea.
unreal.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that I love to do because those people got to have a major input on that board. And I guarantee you, wherever that board is now, they still have it.
Yeah.
Because
It's an art piece for them.
their child was involved. You know what I mean? And I love kids. So it strikes one of those passions.
Yeah, you are. Because I would have never thought of that. I would have been like, all right, let's throw her on there and we're done.
I'm full of all sorts of ideas.
So you're saying you're underground and your business is word of mouth, basically.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, you're doing the. So we talked about this too a little bit. What was a proud moment? Well, I guess you talked about it at the boardroom. That was a proud moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Anything else in surfing that's been kind of like a peak in life? That's.
I mean, I was proud to surf really big, what I called Waimea. It was
Did you
actually
surf Waimea?
pinballs. Oh yeah, it
How
was
big?
huge. I swear it was 20 feet. They said it wasn't, but I'm like, you know what I mean? But
Well, the Hawaiian said it wasn't.
well, if you've gone and surfed that wave, you know that when it breaks
wouldn't
outside
surf
the
it.
point,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
Waimea.
Yeah,
It's
pinballs is to the
Pinballs is just inside,
Okay.
It was huge. I'm on an 8-foot pintail, man, and I came in with just a smile from ear to ear. So
You made it. You
Biggest
survived.
waves of my life. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was with people that I respected, and they kind of like pushed me in, and I'm like, cool. Those kind of things. It's
Yeah, that's a good proud moment. Were you proud of yourself because you accomplished? Was it a goal of yours, or was it just like,
well, yeah,
I didn't chicken out with my friends?
I was in my 20s and just full of piss and vinegar and energy and just, I'm going to do this. I just charged anything you could throw at me. You know what I mean? And so that was,
Were you a big wave guy or not
well,
really?
I thought I was. You know what I mean? I've done Totos and,
have you?
and stuff like that, and nowadays it's, if
How
it's
big Totos?
big enough to like
Well,
worry
compare
about
the
that,
two.
That big boil in the middle of that wave is pretty scary, but
Yeah,
it's,
I've never surfed a
it's kind of intimidating, and I'm a regular foot. So, so it's like, and then
I just picture that Tom Curran picture where that big boil is at.
Oh yeah,
that
it's
famous
there.
picture where he's doing
It's
like a
there.
bottom turn.
Yeah.
That's gnarly.
Oh yeah, and it's just a churning cauldron of like it's like going through the parking lot on your skateboard at high speed and hitting the speed bump. That's what it's like.
Oh,
you know,
man.
yeah. But you know, it's a moment that I'm proud of. I've got pictures.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, you know.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
like, it's my wife took some hilarious like telephoto shots at Waimea from the beach.
When you were surfing?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and I'm just like this little speck.
So
on
what
this
though?
thing.
At least you got
know,
like,
yeah. I'm like
that's
that's
rad.
me.
That's
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
You know, like,
Is there anything that that you feel that you can't do in surfboard building? Is there anything?
no.
No.
I think
If the imagination's there, it can
I
happen.
love challenges,
Okay.
and if I don't know how to do it, I will learn, and I'll study, and I'll figure out, and I'll
Okay.
ask questions of people who I think could further my.
Are most guys like
interest.
so you know guys you go to? You have a handful of guys you like
Yep,
that you
yep.
can bounce ideas off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So how many guys are bouncing ideas off you?
Well, they come here and ask me stuff, and
Well,
these are
I guess
people,
that's kind of
these
what
are
we talked
people who
about.
I think have a much bigger name in this business. Hey Barry, how would you do this? Like, wow, you're asking
That's
me
cool.
that. Like,
That's a
all
proud moment right there,
cool,
too.
man. Like, nice. You know what I mean? And I'm a surfboard geek.
you?
Admittingly, I geek out on this stuff, and like if I want to build something, I educate myself and I figure out how it's done. And there's like the first flex spoon I built.
Yeah,
I
that's
built a
rad.
bunch of those since then, and these keep getting better and better. And like so I have to
So is this more for who's riding this?
that's a knee board.
So are knee boarders
Yep.
coming around? Because I don't see many knee boarders in the water nowadays. But my
Here's
buddy's a knee boarder. Yeah.
I do 1 or 2 a week.
Really?
Oh yeah, and they're going everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere, East Coast, Hawaii.
I have a buddy that's a knee boarder, but he's the only one I've ever seen out there in the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I worked for Rod Sorensen, who was an Encinitas shaper. He's passed a few months back, sadly. So he was a great guy who helped me out early in my career. And so I went to work for him. He was the other place that I worked for.
Okay.
He put me to work airbrushing boards and doing ghost shaping for him, which is
Okay.
basically, I did the work, he signed the board.
Right.
But one of his big accounts was R&R Surf Shop, which the owner was a knee boarder. So I shaped all the knee boards that went into that shop. So I
Okay.
got quite a bit of knowledge on knee boards, shaping those. So when a customer came to me and goes, "Hey, can you build me a knee board?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can make you a knee board."
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's sort of just blossomed into this thing where people are buying knee boards from me, and apparently I'm the guy. Now,
That's cool.
I didn't set out to do that, but it's great for me as an artist because I like open-minded, free-thinking people. So they come to me with ideas, and so everyone's unique and different.
Oh,
and
rad.
like step, channel, bottom. Here's this is an IPA Stinger
Okay.
style.
That's a big knee board. And it's long.
It's 5'10". Yeah, it's for a big guy.
Okay.
Yeah,
interesting. I didn't really know.
but I do kite boards. I do wakeboards.
Really? Do kite boards too?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do. I dabble in everything. I rarely say no. If it's something that I haven't done before, I will do
So
it.
you even actually like it more because it's a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you like to challenge yourself. And what's the feedback on that? You can take a drink of water.
Well, they go
They're
good.
stoked?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
No,
awesome.
it's funny. Like this kneeboard thing has just kind of blossomed.
What about social media? You're on there. You got a lot of beautiful boards on there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Do you like it?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not really a social media. I'm not a Facebook guy at all.
Okay.
People are like, "Why don't you? Oh my gosh, you just kill it on Facebook." I know. I'm a pretty private guy for the most part.
Okay.
You don't see me posting very many pictures of myself on there. They're definitely not selfies, But I like people to see my stuff, and it's a great avenue for new customers, and I get it all the time.
Kind of
Hey,
free
oh my
advertisement.
gosh, I saw this board on Instagram. What is that board? What model is it? Can you make me one? Blah 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 blah.
Oh, awesome, yeah.
It's kind of cool, and it's easy. You know what I mean? I take pictures of my boards anyway, so
Yeah.
I
So
just
you're
gotta post
Upload
them
them,
and
yeah.
a little brief description or whatnot. And
Okay.
yeah.
Everyone has a different take on that. I always like to ask. So you love it.
Yep.
You got any? Well, you told me a story already. You got any more great stories of surfing? I like the Waimea one. I like the Todos one too.
Yeah.
I like the big wave stuff.
Right.
Because I'm scared of the big waves.
Yeah, well, I miss
Especially-
going to the North Shore. That
Okay.
is like a
Did you
yearly
go? How often did you
pilgrimage.
go?
You know, every year for
For
a
how many
while.
years?
Like,
For-
quite a few.
Okay.
You know. Lyndon always rented a bitchin' house, usually like right across the street from Sunset Beach.
Okay.
Like walk across the lawn and you're
Sick.
in the sand. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
A lot of water.
Oh yeah, Sunset's like my favorite wave there. It's
Is
just,
it?
Yeah, I love that it's just so always changing, and just every swell it's a little bit different. It might have a little bit more north into it. This swell might be more west.
And the bowls working.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like as a tall guy, getting pinched off in those inside bowls, just it happens, and that's where I learned how to actually pump down the line while you're in the tube to get out the other side before the wave just flattens
racing
out.
it, yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm a tall guy,
Yeah.
so I've taken a few lifts to the head. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And then, so versus punk and surfers, I don't know how to ask this question. So, I mean, do you like surfers in general as people, or
Yeah, you know what I mean. I still consider myself a surfer.
Yeah, I know you
what
are,
I mean?
for
And,
sure.
Like, it's
But
like I
there's so
said,
many-
it's changed a lot. I've always dealt with pretty hardcore surfers, not a lot of beginners.
Okay.
Anyways, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. People that are looking for a specific
they know
board
yeah,
style or something like that. And it's surfers are.
We're all different packaged.
Yeah, we're all kind of
kinda packaged the
outcasts,
same.
and that's kind of what's always like attracted me. I mean, like I look at my dad who went to San Diego High School
Okay.
and loved the ocean. Didn't surf, but he came from the surfers are derelicts and they're
Yeah.
just pot smoking,
Bottom of the-
freeloaders.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bottom
and,
of the barrel.
And I've kind of always looked at it like, oh, they sound like a pretty cool group of people to me. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's
So, what'd your dad say when you started surfing? Was he stoked?
he
Was he, like,
my
frowning on it?
my pre-punk rock days, I had beyond shoulder length hair.
Okay.
He hated it. He
All
was a child of the 50s.
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? But as my career kind of took off, he kind of embraced it, and like, he came down and would watch me surf from time to time.
Oh,
And
cool.
He's like, wow, that's really cool. And I go, yeah, Dad, it's a lot of fun and it's healthy. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's exercise, and, I get to travel and go do this stuff, and every wave's different. And, it's,
Besides punk rock and you play music too. And so you're talking about your band. You play up in Idaho?
Yep.
And so, what's your hobbies? You got building boards. Is that a hobby or is that a career? Is it both?
No, it's definitely.
it's a career,
It's a
for
bit
sure.
of both.
But
You know what I mean? It's a creative outlet for me.
There you go.
You know
That's
what I
kinda
mean?
where
I still like to get in there and fire up my 50-year-old skill planer
Okay.
and just mow foam, as they call it, and to take the vision that's in my head to foam, and
go for it.
and so on and so forth. And like I said, I'm a hand shaper.
Yeah.
So I literally have a collection of templates, which is the outlines
Right.
of these boards.
Yep.
I probably have 300.
Oh, cool.
Everything from Grom boards to
just lay 'em
12-foot
down.
glider paddle boards and everything, So that's kind of my passion. I love to, like, I can create a new model in minutes just by putting two different templates together, and boom, there's a new, it's that, you know what I mean? The guys in the computer have a much harder time because you're dealing with this little surfboard on a screen that's like 6 inches tall, and I can stand up a blank and step back and go, no, that wing needs to go there, that wide point needs to be moved there, nose needs to be fuller, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's easy, quick, and it's
Yeah, that's cool. What about so other hobbies? You got anything else you like to
well, I like to garden.
do? Oh, there you go. Cool.
I grow veggies. I've got
Oh, do you?
chickens.
Organic veggies? Or
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you know
awesome.
what I mean? I I love to do art. I think you caught me painting.
Yeah,
on my,
I walked
my
in, you're
50s
painting.
advertising guy. But
So where does that art go? Is that just for yourself? Or
I just do it for myself. I'm
Okay.
going to turn this front window into an art display. You can't, when you leave, you'll see
Okay.
it's 35 by 65, and I'm going to start filling it with images.
Oh, sick.
Whatever I want to do.
Yeah, whatever
You know what
inspires you at that moment.
So I'm really into like very Andy Warhol sort of stencil-y pop art kind of
Okay.
thing right now. You can see like, that's why I do like these big
Yeah,
faces
no.
like that Einstein thing,
Yeah.
and all these like Beatles, Rolling Stones.
You got The
You know,
Shining.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Jack Nicholson.
Anything I could paint, I do, and I just
Is that Mick?
I like it. Oh yeah, yeah. I did a really cool Andy Warhol themed board that went in the Oceanside Art Museum for a short time.
Okay.
It was really cool, and if you know Andy's artwork, he used to paint Campbell's soup cans.
Yep.
And so
I
I
saw one
painted
of
a
them.
whole board to look like a Campbell's soup can, and then I did my stencil art of him kind of ghosted in
Oh.
light grays on
sounds
top
cool
of it.
as hell.
Oh, it's on my Instagram. You can
Okay.
find it on
All
there.
right. I'll scroll
But,
down.
it's very artsy, and I love that kind of stuff. I wish I could do more of that kind of thing.
Would you be stoked on shaping boards and just meant for the wall for your art piece?
Yeah,
or do you think they all need to be ridden at least once?
Well, you know what I mean? It's I had
Up to the
someone
individual?
say this to me, like it's an awful lot like a really bitchin' hot rod. You can sit there and gawk at it
Yeah.
and look at it as much as you want, but eventually you want to actually get in that thing
Yeah,
and
start it
drive
up
it.
and drive it,
You
yeah.
want to do a big fat burnout down the road.
Right,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? So it's a weird. Yeah, I try to encourage people. At least take it out once. Don't
Yeah, yeah,
break it in half and whatnot. But some people buy them just to hang on their walls, and I've got.
It's kind of become a new thing,
Yeah.
like surfboard art.
Oh yeah,
You
absolutely.
go to every restaurant now has a
Yep.
few surfboards.
Yep. I have an idea in my head that I have yet to do, but see how I did the Greeno thing
Yep.
with the clear
Yep.
Greeno? So I wanted to do a series of 4 boards like this.
Okay.
With black where the red is. And I wanted to do, I'm a huge Beatles fan.
Okay.
So I wanted to do Abbey Road, which is where they're walking across
Yep.
the crosswalk. 4 of these boards. It's all side by side.
yeah, I
Each
get you.
center area gets
One
a Beatle
guy,
walking.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But it would have to be sold as a set because
Yeah.
I'm not just going to sell you the Ringo Starr one. You know what I mean?
Well, they probably want the Paul McCartney, but
you know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing that goes through my head.
that's
Like
cool.
how I'm.
so
trying
that's
to-
not meant to be ridden though.
No, I think it should be properly displayed with the
Right.
proper lighting and all that kind of stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's
It's art.
yeah, absolutely. And I try to like explain to people that's where my real passion lies. I love to incorporate music and art and surfboards all in one thing. So every now and then people come in and go, you know what, Barry? Do whatever you want to do. I'll be happy with it. I'm like, cool, artistic freedom. I love it.
Yeah, that's
when I
right.
break out my sketchbooks and ooh, yeah, this and that, and I truly like the art side. I've always been most attracted to the art side of surfboards. Like
So
I said,
your clientele, that's a whole different clientele than that's going down the street to wherever.
Yeah, I mean, I build boards for people that surf every day.
No, I
You
get
know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah,
And they've got
Yeah.
a quiver of my boards from fish to longboards and everything in between.
yeah.
It's a mix.
No, it is. And I'm not saying otherwise. I'm just saying, yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if people think that way today as much
Yeah.
as they did. I think in the 70s when you see these, if you look at the old surfer magazine in the 70s, the guys have the boards laid out and it's just art, and you don't see that like what you do today as much.
I had a really cool compliment from Rusty Priesendorfer yesterday on my Instagram thing.
Really?
And so I posted a bunch of pictures of blanks that I had glued up
Okay.
the last couple years.
I saw that.
All
I
sorts of
looked at
crazy
that, yeah.
stuff. And all he wrote was creative craftsman, rare combination these days.
That's what I'm
like,
going. You're rare.
Wow.
You're a rare guy.
I thank you. That's cool. It's not anything I've really set out to do. It just sort of organically just happened that way.
Right.
But, I've got all these tools to work with, and I'd like to try to, it's tough to do it all in one board or something, but, that's kind of, at the end of my career, I'm hoping that people remember that was the kind of board builder I was. I wasn't just I didn't ship in container boards from China. I didn't shape from a machine. I did it all by hand. They're all I tried to make them unique in my own.
No ghost shapers here.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Your name's on it. It's done by Barry.
Sometimes it's just overwhelming. Like right now, I've got a fat stack of blanks in my shaping room. I just need to get in there and shape, but I'm so busy with all this stuff, and at some point I want to go see my grandkids. I want to go fly fishing in Idaho or, you know what I mean? It's tough.
You still got to get a vacation.
Yeah.
So, you are the guy that people are seeking for the individual board. So what do you think? How do you feel about overseas boards? You kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but do they take your business away? What's your perspective on guys that don't surf that are throwing 1,000 boards, 2,000, 3,000 boards?
Well, if you kind of go back at the industry as a whole.
Okay, let's talk about industry. Yeah,
the demand is always going up. The numbers of surfers worldwide just keeps growing.
Okay,
you know what I mean? There's people surfing places now that they didn't even paddle out to 20 years ago.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So it keeps growing, which is great for us board builders. But board builders as a whole is a very small, some people call it a cottage industry. We're not really expanding the worker base. So in order to fulfill the void that we can't build boards for, that's when the Chinese came along and went, wow, look at this. They can't produce enough of them. Well, if you know anything about them, they want to own the industry no matter what it is. So they started shipping in boards, and all the shapers who are older than me were always like warning me, oh, you better hope the Chinese never learn how to make surfboards, blah, blah, blah. Well, they did. And someone went over there and taught them, and it was all basically greed because they can exploit the cheap labor and cheap materials and all this kind of stuff. And, I'll give you a perfect example of this.
Sure.
When I was several doors down there, it was a ding repair shop. So they had a board come in that was a Chinese-built board for a pretty well-known surfboard brand. Okay. It was leaking water.
Okay.
So he gets his sander out. He has to sand through this real pretty paint job that they did on top of the hot coats, the finished board.
Right.
All of a sudden, he hits a brown-colored surfboard in there. It was a used board that had been refurbished and sold as new. And there it is in a nutshell. That's the kind of crap that people are importing here. And, I watched, it's a funny thing because when the Chinese thing took off, everyone was like, well, I'll do it if so-and-so does it. And it became like this thing. And some big name brands went to China with their product. And of course, them like, well, in order to compete in this thing, I had to do that. You know what I mean? And so they all fell for the typical Chinese thing. The first container looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, yeah, we'll order another one. The second container, the first half looked pretty good. The second half looked questionable. Okay, well, you know what? We need these boards. We'll go for another container. Well, the third container comes in, and this could be 100 boards in a container. They were all crap that they're probably still sitting on today. They have their name on them, and they couldn't be sold because they're that bad. Yeah. But the Chinese got their money, and $125 landed in Long Beach, and they're trying to pass them off as locally built boards, which really pissed off all of us board builders, And, all of a sudden people started seeing like, wow, gosh, if I could get a board for $125,
right,
and I could wholesale that board for $600, woo, we're talking about some money now. And so everybody's entrepreneurial light bulbs went off,
right?
And so they started shipping them in, and the market got flooded, and it did affect us because it was numbers that we could no way produce,
right?
So. They started out in China, and then they went to Vietnam. Now some are built in Thailand, which is a pretty huge brand, probably the biggest brand in the world, But they're not built by surfers. They're exploiting cheap labor. I mean, it's great that those people have jobs. I'm happy that they're earning an income and providing for their family. I have no problem with that. But when people try to falsify, like, we're an eco-friendly company, and wait a minute, you're overseas where there are no laws. There's no laws for any of that stuff. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like, perfect example of probably the biggest brand out there. I'm not going to name names.
Okay.
On their website is a video of a shaping machine cutting a blank. It's an EPS blank. The foam is hitting the floor. They take this foam, they show a video of the guy sweeping it up into a dustpan. Next thing you know, they show a liquid being poured into a mold and it becomes a brick. Okay? Then they show a whole patio of these things someplace where they took these bricks and they go, look how eco-friendly we are. We're taking that foam scrap that hit the floor and we're turning it into these beautiful little tiles. Well, what they fail to tell you is, A, you're paying to have that eco-friendly sticker on your board. It's not really eco-friendly. B,
they're lying.
You've melted styrofoam. So if you Wikipedia styrofoam, EPS foam, the absolute worst thing you can do with it is melt it. But they don't tell you that. It looks
so the gases
cool.
go in the air.
It's like cyanide. And so so they're promoting this. It's just total bullshit. But people buy into it because there's a video. And like,
we're gullible.
Yeah,
humans
are
gullible.
That bothers me. And so all of us sitting back going, no, this is bullshit. This isn't real life. You know, but the video looks so cool. And, you know, and it's, you know, it's become a whole industry somewhere else, and it's just people that just don't care. And, you know, like,
would you say these companies are selling a lie? I mean, they are lying straight out.
Absolutely. It's just, you know, and, you know, those boards could get built here. It's not going to be as cheap.
Right.
They could keep our industry alive.
Right.
And
they're going to find, I mean, I see what you're, guys like you are going to be gone one day, and who are they going to have?
Well, see, this is the sad truth. They want to sell the general population these boards that come in on a container ship.
Okay.
And they sell these boards. They landed here for under $150.
Okay.
That's how much it costs them.
That's making it, glassing it.
These boards sell for $800 in the retail store.
So the markup's 700%, 800%.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But the thing that they don't tell you is that all the pros who are riding these boards, guess where those boards are built?
Yeah.
They're built here.
Yeah.
They're built by my friends with glass shops across the valley here.
Yeah.
But they don't tell you that.
They're getting the good shit and selling the shitty shit.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just I just have
so they're lying on that perspective also.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm an open book. What you see is what you get, and I don't bullshit you, and like, you know what I mean? And sorry if I see it how it is, and, you know, and so they've kind of opened the doors for all sorts of hate, to put it lightly. So like people like Peter Schroff, if you know who Schroff is, he cut up a board with a chainsaw. It's a pretty funny video. Yeah, you know, he's just making fun of them and all this kind of stuff. And you sort of set this up because some people aren't going to be okay with what you guys are doing. You know, you turn your back. You know, Kelly Slater is a perfect example. I hate to use a name, but it's the name.
Yeah.
We used to build his boards here in this valley. When it came time for the lowers contest, he got a quiver of like, say, 10 boards.
Okay.
They got knocked out by workers here. Some sander was in there late at night sanding these boards so Kelly could pick the one that he liked to go surf his heat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so when you take your product and you go somewhere else with it, you're kind of like stabbing us in the back. Like, we built you up, man. We did this for you, kind of thing. And, you know, it's just, you know, oh, pay no mind about that. Come surf my ranch.
So
you know what I mean.
And what boards does he have there to offer?
Well,
I don't know.
His.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So it's
and he's no shaper.
No. I mean, he knows surfboards.
Yeah,
I mean, he's had enough of them. You know what I mean?
He rips.
I mean,
he's the man.
You can't take that away from him. You know what I mean? It's, you know, I think the industry is slowly coming back around
Yeah,
to the
I think so.
craftsman, and people are starting to
That's what I'm
finally figure
seeing here
out some
today.
of these
Yeah.
things. And with this whole COVID thing, I know that a lot of imported stuff just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept telling everybody, this is our time right now. Like,
Yeah.
let's just build boards and build the best boards we can.
Yeah.
And let's educate these customers and these people that are riding the wave storms from Costco. Well, hopefully they'll come to you and want a custom board and appreciate what you did for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people are never going to move away from those things. It's,
Right. Yeah, and
if
you
you're
really
gonna
don't
have-
want them as customers anyhow, because they're not.
if you're
not
going to have
building in-
somebody drop in on you and stick their rail into your shin,
Yeah.
I guess it's better to be a soft board than a
Yeah. Or if they're
hard
gonna,
board.
if they can't duck dive and the board's flying back, you want it to be a wave storm.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's kind of my take on the industry. But I think we're coming back, and I mean, we're all busy right now. So
Cranking, right?
yeah,
that's awesome.
It's crazy busy,
So has that driven the price up of boards a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, they have been inching up slowly over the years.
Not the advocate for the Chinese, and I'm not arguing because I think you're right on the Chinese. I think a real surfer is going to come looking for guys, you or someone like you. Mm-hmm. I believe. You're going to have so Chinese. I'm all for the American-made board, me personally. So that's good.
Good boy.
Yeah. Anyhow, so any final words from Barry Snyder?
Well, I hope
Anything
we
to
touched
say?
on all the things that.
Thank you so much for doing the interview. It was
Oh,
super
no
fun.
problem. No,
I had fun.
I always like to, talk.
Yeah.
And I love this industry. It's been very fulfilling for me.
Okay.
I've been doing nothing but since the day I started.
Right.
I've got to watch a lot of trends come and go, and I've got to see a lot of people grow their businesses and come along, and all my friends are board builders.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so we've all benefited from this ride, and it's cool being from Oceanside, watching it go from 2 legitimate surfboard factories to what we have now.
This whole valley, basically.
I still believe that nobody on a weekly level anywhere in the world produces the amount of boards that we do here.
Okay.
I mean, like at
I would
one
agree.
point it was like astronomical, the numbers of boards per week. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a mecca of board building, and I know all these people, and we all kind of work together at some point, and it's I haven't gotten rich from it, and I never really have set out to do so, but it's
You do it for the love.
it's absolutely, it's a passion. You know what I mean? I really like what I do, and there's some days I can't wait to get here.
So you never wake up in the morning like, it's going to work?
No,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
some
That's
days
cool.
I really look forward to seeing how this came out and how that came out, and you know what I
nice.
mean? It's airbrushing.
So you're a
boards.
lucky guy, really.
Airbrushing boards is a lot like Christmas morning.
Okay.
It's like unwrapping stuff and wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
I don't, but
and it's always changing. It's always, I mean, like, it's never the same. It's so I love it, and
Cool.
it's been a fun ride, and I'm hoping
we got to keep it going.
Yeah, I'm hoping to keep doing this for a while. I've shaping and sand and boards and all that kind of stuff it's labor intensive, you know what I mean? But it's better than digging a ditch.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, thank you very, 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 very much. The Barry thing messed me up. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Barry.
no problem. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see everyone later. This is Mike at the Quivercast, and thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Thanks, everyone, for joining us this week. If you liked the episode, hit subscribe, give us 5 stars, or leave a review. Like us on Instagram, quiver_cast. Music brought to you by Barry Snyder, Punk Rock Grandpa. You guys all have a good week, and I'll see you in the lineup. Hey, you guys, Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic, numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip from the original print. You will literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production, all hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.